there was a number of things that brought me towards creating Aurora Heat. And one of them was just this realization when my father passed that there might not be anyone in our family that would continue to hunt and trap in the way that he did. And I was kind of really thinking and wanting something to do with fur. And so I actually thought a lot about it. And when I was in Yellowknife, the Aurora viewing tourists were in the thousands. So, 21,000 in primarily Asian visitors would come to view the Northern Lights in the wintertime. And they have a very warm feeling towards fur. And so it was just this combination of my son being a snowboarder and wanting to keep him warm out there and recognizing that all these fancy names, brand names, were not keeping him warm, and adding fur into all of his outerwear just made me realize how important fur really was. So I then put it all together into a product. And from the courses that I took at university on marketing and product placement, I was able to, along with the help of Google, I just Googled everything and came together with packaging and price and everything that, allows you to launch a product like mine. We started out with just hand warmers and quickly realized that, with the way the pelts are that we needed to come up with some other products, because only certain parts of the pelts were useful for hand warmers. So then we came up with foot warmers and kids warmers and thumb warmers and body warmers. And this we've even now have earrings, and earrings, help us just so that we utilize the entire pelt. And that was always been really important to me, that we have no waste and we're utilizing the entire beaver pelt. It was a process. I had to learn a lot. I didn't know very much about beaver fur in terms of the different types. And the very first thing I did was, when I knew I was going to have a product, was go to Winnipeg and meet with the fur dressers and discuss with them what my particular needs were. And I left there with a huge order of fur, and I started making my product. One of the challenges was that I didn't realize that I needed a specific type. And so it took me a few times of ordering to get exactly what I want. And now my relationship with the fur dresser is such that he helps to give us the type of furs. They produce them particularly for us. And that was a process. And that's what happens when you start a new to market product that hasn't been done before. There's a lot of experimentation that has to happen, and that's a journey in itself. Well, there's a very important part about being in business for me, and that's about, doing good in this world. And one of the things we very early on recognized that we liked to give back to the community and to in ways that make a difference. So some of the things that are important to me are, education and people having access to on the land programs. One of the things that I'm very conscious of is it wasn't very long ago that Indigenous people were not allowed to practice our lifestyles. And that is really important, to have opportunities for younger people to go onto the land with elders, so that is a way that we contribute, both through the Child and Nature Foundation, where they actually sponsor classes for training people to work with young children. And then we have a program up here called Bush Kids that actually my daughter is one of the founders. And it also is about having children on the land and learning how to just learning about being in harmony, not being uncomfortable outside, which, it's often shocking to me how much children spend indoors now. And so the more we have opportunity for kids to be outside, especially during the school day, because then it affects everybody, because all the kids go to school, so they get to take part in these programs. And another way we, just locally, we give back in, sponsoring different events that all have to do with being outside and enjoying nature, like the snowboarding club and the pond hockey and things like that. So giving back is a really important part of my business. And I think it's what makes it a social enterprise. Is you're doing business for good. You're making conscious efforts to give back and to recognize what it is that makes a difference.
One thing that I'm really proud of is near the end of like my first internship with Aurora Heat, I started doing some sales, so trying to get Aurora Heat's products into stores across Canada. And I remember when I was first doing that, it was like I was a little nervous for it just because having to call different stores, it's a bit scary and you don't know how people are going to react. But I ended up, I think it was my second business that I called was a local store out here in Winnipeg, and they've already heard of Aurora Heat's products and absolutely love them. So when I called them and was able to talk with the manager, it was a really good fit for their store, and Aurora Heat's products ended up being sold in the store, which is like 15 minutes away from where I live. So just seeing that whole process go through and knowing that when you do reach out to companies, they can have really good outcomes. And it also just made me realize how like well known Aurora Heat's products are around Canada, and seeing that in like my hometown, there's people that know about it and like absolutely love the products. So I would say that just going through that process was one of my like proudest accomplishments.
I think it is really important to give back in that way as well, that when we have employees, that we treat them as the valuable people they are. And, we are very conscious of how their journey and what they need to be successful. For us in Aurora Heat, for the people who work in the workshop, often that means flexibility, being sensitive to their challenges they might have. Um, and for the interns and the other marketing type people that have, hard skills, then it's creating the challenge and the connection, as Leanne says, that actually allows them to feel a part of something that makes a difference and is useful. I think the worst thing that we do is spend all our time at something and go, well, what was that even for? If we know what our purpose is and the differences that it makes it all that more enjoyable. And, work is meant to be enjoyable. And, when you run a small business, you have full control over that. And I really make it a part of our just our way of being, that the people that work for us are going to be satisfied and they're going to be heard and they're going to be remunerated as well. And I think that's important. So there's a big responsibility being a business owner, but it's very satisfying, and I just encourage people to be a part of it. I'm proud of the acceptance that has happened and how we are known by our customers for our excellent customer service. That's something that has always been important to us from the and just really the scale, how we are, more and more acceptance of people to buy our warmers. And, some of the comments from some of the customers that, they say they were vegetarians, and, they really thought about whether or not they would purchase our product, and then decided by looking over the website and going into all of the explanations that we have on our sustainability page that they could justify and support using a reusable fur warmer made from an animal, when prior to that they were not at all open to it. So I think it's pretty remarkable that we are helping people go along the journey to recognize what is sustainable and what is natural and therefore good for the planet. And I think that is something I'm most proud of, the acceptance of our product and the way in which we market it that allows that. Well, I would say some of my challenges were around the non-acceptance of fur. And so particularly in the beginning, I had a lot of, pushback from people who saw it as their place to comment or vilify what I was doing. And at the beginning, I have to admit, I was pretty sensitive to that. But as time went on, there's a shift in the world where we're starting to recognize that the way in which we live is not sustainable. So we are very thoughtfully looking at what is sustainable and how we can continue to live with a society that has been, steeped in capitalism and consumerism, and how do you change that behavior? And so for me, I take it upon myself and our business to educate about sustainability, and I think it's making a difference to some people. I try to. I mean, I'm not interested in preaching about it, but I do recognize that people have to. We have to make some behavioral changes if we're going to continue to live on this planet. And I don't mind being part of the voice that is helping people towards sustainability. I was a latecomer to business. I'm now 60 years old and Aurora Heat is 7. I think what I've learned is that there are many different ways to be in business. And I leaned back very much and leaned into the values of relationship and respect. I often take the extra time for either myself or the staff to develop relationships with people we're working with. And I'd say that is fundamental to success, particularly coming from a northern product that, I depend on a lot of people to get my products to market. And I enjoy that part of the business, fostering relationships. And as well, I would say, a person needs to be very passionate about what you're doing. You need to find the joy in it. And if you don't have that, it'd be very hard to continue, I think. Because I was a bit of a latecomer, some of the maybe financial burdens that a younger person might have were not as in the forefront for me. But I did always, try very hard to have my understandings around, how much things cost. It's sort of the bottom line for revenue. You need to understand those things. And if you don't, then you need to find someone who does. And I think that would be a big lesson that I would share to people, because you can't be good at everything. I'm a really good innovator and I'm good with people. I'm not necessarily good with numbers, and I'm not necessarily good with some of the marketing techniques and the things that are so essential to having a successful business. So I think it's important to have the right team and to, help them to realize their full potential while they work for you. And so I think that's important. Well, one of the things that my research tells me about business, you really need to have a purpose and set what it is that you're trying to do. And I knew I wanted a business that made a difference in this world, and I knew that I wanted it to be for the good, and that my primary goal was to affect the widespread of acceptance of fur for warmth. And that is something that I'm continue in my sites. Um, I'm I really love what's happening with more and more people picking them up and keeping them for 7 years. It's quite remarkable when you can buy a product and use it almost every day in the winter and keep it for 7 years and it still be as effective as when you first bought it. So from a sustainability point of view, from a business point of view, this is it's a gift in terms of its sustainability. It's a challenge to have more and new customers all the time. And that's something that, just the kind of people we are, we're concerned about our customer service, making sure that people are happy and satisfied. And when you do that, more people come wanting your product because they hear it. The very best marketing is word of mouth. And I think that we benefit from that, the way we run our business. So when you talk about what do I expect to see in 10 years, I hope to continue the business, that we grow accountability in terms of how we have our business practices, that we are thoughtful about how we grow. And yeah, I absolutely anticipate growth in the company. Yes, I grew up with my father beaver hunting and trapping all winter long. So, being very conscious of living on the land and with the land. I think the important things when I think about how I operate in an Indigenous way is the reciprocity, giving back. The relationships with everybody that I deal with are always based on respect. And, one of the things that is kind of most important to me is the people that work with me have opportunity and feel that their work is valuable and worthwhile and makes a difference to be part of Aurora Heat. So I think that inclusiveness and, it's profit and the capitalistic view is not as important to me as having a wholesome business that makes a difference in this world. And I really feel that Aurora Heat does that in many ways. I think part of being a strong business person is to have innovation on your mind and being able to make change and to, the keyword now, pivot, but it really is about being able to change and to adapt. And one of the ways you can train yourself to be more adaptable, more innovative, is to have as many experiences as you possibly can. So travel when you're young, do different things, figure different things out. Don't default to doing the same comfortable thing, even if it is your friends or your family. Do the things that challenge you, that help your brain grow. And as much as possible, I encourage people to give back, to volunteer, to be part of the community, to make a difference to other people. And that will actually make you into a happier person and perhaps even a successful business person. When you're focused outside of yourself, you tend to have much more success and happiness.